Scene Daddy Interviews.
Welcome everyone to Scene Daddy Interviews. My name is Ian and I'm very excited because I've wanted to do this for a long time. Right now on speakerphone, we have Chris, Billy, and Sam of Softspoken. Guys, how are you doing?
Doing great. Doing good.
There we go. So I'm going to try and single out certain people at times to make this run a little bit smoother. Now, Chris, I'm going to start with you because I think you and I have been talking back and forth for a while, right?
Yes, sir.
So I would like to apologize, and I would like this to be a warning to everyone out there. Make sure you check your spam folder from time to time. Because we were supposed to do this a long time ago, and I thought that Chris and Softspoken just got so fucking busy that they could not do this. So I then checked my spam folder, and I found these messages from Chris, and I felt really bad. So I'm very glad that we've had a chance to really actually get this going. So first off, Chris, man, how are you doing after the release of Depth Perception?
How am I doing personally or like the band?
Let's go with you personally, and we'll go the band, and we'll talk to the guys as well.
Me personally, I'm doing well. Staying busy, with band stuff that we have going on. I kind of also have a managerial role kind of in the band and with other bands outside of my own.
Right.
That keeps me busy. I've got a 2-year-old son that keeps me busy as well.
But congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Very nice. Well, what about you, Billy?
I've also been staying busy. I've been working at my job a lot, working overtime hours. I work in the kitchen. I work at an Outback, so I've been struggling to keep people, and I've kind of had to hold more weight. So since the album has released, and since we got back from our tour, I've kind of stepped back a little bit from those priorities in a sense to kind of get my own straightened. And I went through some personal stuff while we were on the road. So I'm reconciling from that.
Gotcha.
But I'm in a really good spot now. And I've been working on music on my own for Softspoken, and I'm just really happy with where I'm at. And I like what we're doing with the release. And everything is pretty chill now.
Very cool. Glad to hear things are kind of getting back on track for you for sure. So Sam, we'll round out things with you. How are you doing right now?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Same as Bill, just been grinding a lot back home at work and stuff. The release went well. It's kind of, I think maybe I speak for all of us, we're in this kind of okay, now what do we do? Now where do we go? Now what's next? So we're kind of hashing that stuff out, planning. And so it's just keeping up with personal stuff. I mean, we got some shows coming up, just to finish off the year, and then we'll get back on the road again next year and grind it out. But yeah, we're going to keep going, put out new music. That's the plan. So just
very
trying
nice.
to stay focused on that, and things don't always go how you think, or you have expectations and stuff. And I know the album kept us real busy. Now that it's over with, it's it's kind of just recollecting on what we did and what we're gonna do and how it's gonna affect going forward. So
right.
So it was a lot. It was. The album the release was stressful at times too, especially up until the actual release show where we had some physical people and got to unveil it.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like after that, and we went on our tour after that, it was just wow.
Yeah, we can breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
But enjoying life, nonetheless.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and it is a great album. Depth Perception is really, really great. Yeah, I mean, you guys should definitely be proud. So the question would be, kind of going off of what you just mentioned. So when you're leading up to this release, you're trying to get everything ready. Now, right now, you guys are a DIY band, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So what were the pitfalls? What have you learned from that album release that you wouldn't do the same, when you release your next, whatever, if it's an EP or a full length? What did you guys kind of learn from that?
It's a good question. Trying to think of how to condense my answer.
No, go off.
I'm kind of
glad he has one.
I'm kind of like the big image, big picture guy, and planning things with the band. Really, in my opinion, moving forward, kind of focusing less on the idea of an album and more so just on singles that hit. And we kind of made at least as we're self-funding, because the album was a very expensive thing to do on our own.
For sure.
And that's why we're all grinding so hard at our jobs right now, so they kind of recoup personally.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And we kind of made the decision creatively with Depth Perception, which, like, you know, we love what we did in it, but we kind of made the decision to do exactly what we wanted creatively and not so much fit into what is popular, you know, like a Spotify single, quote unquote.
Sure.
And I think moving forward, we're kind of trying to make a better balance of writing what we want that feels true to us, but also writing what fits with what's popular, if that makes sense.
So kind of a mixture of what you guys want to do and then kind of adding in what's popular as well. Now, I'm assuming when you say what's popular, you guys also have some taste that would kind of overlap with that as well, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. It kind of like reading and studying the trends of, like, you know, this is what bands are doing now. This is how post-hardcore in general is kind of evolving. And not to say that we're going to copy what's being done, but in terms of the marketing schemes or, you know, hey, our chorus needs to hit within the first 30 seconds of the song, kind of like keeping that stuff in mind as we're getting our creativity out at the same time.
Well, here's kind of a question for you, and this might go, you know, completely in depth. Please feel free to elaborate for sure. So when you go all the way back, you know, to around 2015, 2016, and you have the release of Shorelines, in that track, you had some screaming elements in it.
Yeah.
Then when you put out, you know, Pathways Deluxe in 2018, you also had, I believe the song was called Unheard.
Yeah.
And in that track, you also have some screaming. But in Depth Perception, you really didn't go into that at all. And if you talk about the trends in the scene right now, post-hardcore, you know, whatever core you want to talk about, you really have bands mostly go from a lot of screaming to barely any screaming or no screaming. So in your situation right now where you kind of already did that, do you think you'll be changing things around where you might go back to more screaming, maybe balance that out a little bit?
Maybe. I mean, I've always been an advocate for having a little bit more screaming. But really that's kind of up to Sam a lot of ways. But
I think with Depth Perception, we talked about screaming, especially in the song Eclipse. It's like a heavier track. And honestly, even in like, sometimes like even in Soundship has got some heavy elements, or the end of, I don't know, Black Rose even has some heavy elements to it too. We could have fit some post-hardcore screams or some, I don't know, but when we were talking about it, I like that we were trying to deliver this like heaviness, because like it's so oversaturating screaming. So like when I wanted to use it as a tool going forward with some of the stuff we've been like meddling with. Like I can see a lot of it coming back, to be honest, but I still would like to use it as a tool. And even more witty of me is I kind of like the idea of showing people in a live setting. I actually will scream a lot more live. Sometimes you'll see me just kind of let loose and have fun.
Okay.
And I'll just bust it out. And honestly, I like tricking people, like, whoa, I did not know he could do that.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe that's where my head was with Depth Perception. Because we definitely talked about it.
Yeah.
Like Chris was saying, like, hey, if it feels right, I mean, then do that. But I just feel like I have this like skill set where I could deliver something totally unique on top of something so heavy that maybe you would expect for that.
Right.
Screaming or heavy metal core, vibe to it, but not sure if I yeah.
Well, then, as a band, is there any other trend in the scene that you're seeing that you want to add into your music?
I'd say that personally, how I feel about what we should do moving on to our next songs or our next album. I know that, like Chris said, that we wanted to focus on singles and stuff, which we will do.
Yeah.
We really want to keep in mind of what the fans of us want to hear. So we've been trying to take polls of like, what songs did you like most off of Depth Perception? I mean, I just posted one today actually on our Instagram, trying to get some results of like, what are the songs that these people like the most? So that way we can mold our next songs into that. So kind of like that balance, like what Chris said, of in between what we want to do, but also hearing the voice of the people who are able to give us the life of like music, basically. Because like if we don't have fans, then we don't really have anything. So it's like, we can always play our like music, but the people who are going to help us out to achieve our careers are the people that listen to it. So we really need to keep that in mind for these next few songs.
Yeah.
I think that's extremely important. So that's like what a lot of when I'm writing, I'm keeping that in mind. When Chris is writing, he's also keeping that in mind as well. I think all of us are trying to find that balance, between that. And also having our newest addition, Austin, as a drummer too, is definitely going to help change things up stylistically in a good way, because he's got a different kind of playing style. He's a little bit more progressive, and I think we're all able to follow that a little bit more, and it'll add just a whole new dynamic to it.
Right. So when you talk about trying to release these more as singles, not a full EP or an album, is that kind of going along with what you did on Spotify with Depth Perception? Because when you go into that, that's like, I saw it set up as a playlist, and it doesn't have all the tracks, and then you've been releasing tracks every once in a while. So that was actually a plan to see, like, I guess the question would be, did that work the way that you wanted it to?
Yes and no. I think the limitation for us is money. So, like, ideally, we would love to have a video and a full marketing campaign behind every single so that it hits exactly how we want it to. Like, Paradox hit very well because we kind of spent the most money on that song. And I think, it's not just because of the money aspect of it, but, that's a big part, is the marketing side of it. And and ideally, with the drip release is what we've called it on Spotify, we would like to have like a full campaign behind everything.
Right.
We don't have really the funding to go balls to the wall in regards to that, but our like monthly, streams, which we're not really so concerned with, but that's maintained itself. Our follower number on Spotify has doubled in the past few months.
Yeah.
So I think it's done well, and really for me, like, speaking long term, like Sam mentioned, our album came out in June. And as soon as it's out, you're like, okay, well, what next?
Right.
For us, like, we have to write, which we're always kind of writing, but we're really like, we have our heads in writing now. And then there's also saving money to record.
Right.
So having the drip campaign on Spotify, at least through the rest of the year, gives us time to still build content around Depth Perception that's meaningful, along with these songs, but also behind the scenes prepare for what's to come.
Right. Right. That's a good way to put it. Go ahead.
No. So, I think yes, it's done well from my point of view. The limitation's just kind of been money.
Gotcha. So you talk about putting money into Paradox, but then also you have a really great video for Eclipse.
Right.
And you don't get to see a lot of bands, especially in the scene, really go the animation route. And that whole entire music video is animation. What is that like compared to doing a live action? Now, Paradox seemed, it was centered on one person throughout that entire video. But what was it like doing an animated feature? Did you actually, save money on that? Was that more work for you?
It was expensive. It was about the same amount as like a live action, a little bit more actually.
Oh,
because the artist like hand drew it all.
Very nice.
So, and we had, that song Eclipse has a whole concept. Which I guess, Sam, you can kind of go into if you want.
Yeah, just real quick. It's kind of like, to be honest, if you've ever seen the Mel Gibson movie Apocalypto.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of like was just writing a story, and I don't know why I just thought of that movie, but it was just, I don't know.
Well, it's that there's the chill part that kind of drops down, and I remember at practice, I was like, oh, that reminds me of Apocalypto, and we kind of went on that path.
You could totally take that, like, movie and all the themes and elements behind the symbolism, or whatever, I don't know. It can relate to however someone is feeling. I don't know. People listen to music and get a different perspective.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah,
absolutely.
In short, that's kind of what that's about.
But yeah, so like for the video, it kind of had that theme, and we wanted the video to kind of tie into that idea, like the Apocalypto kind of vibe, which is like Aztec Mayan culture.
Sure.
But obviously we couldn't like rip off, the cuts from the movie.
Yeah.
So we had actually our old bassist Nick was really pushing for animation, so we kind of went with that and gave the artist some direction in terms of like, this is kind of what we want. And we included a few Easter eggs of the girl that's in Paradox. She shows up as a character in that video.
For sure.
So, but yeah, I mean, it was a cool process. I think we all love that video. We got kind of screwed by Google on that because, we try to run ads on everything that we put out on YouTube to try to like reach a new fan base and whatnot. But that video got denied because of the gruesome content, quote unquote. So it kind of killed it, which was really unfortunate. But
that is. Well, that's, I mean.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, in a way, I guess that's good for other bands to pay attention to that maybe you don't want. I mean, I really like the music video, but I guess in a way I understand why that would happen, but still, it probably shouldn't have, but maybe bands have to watch out for that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Wow. So now, would you do another music video for anything in Depth Perception coming up?
If we had the money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No, I mean, look, it's understandable. You guys sink everything you have into trying to make, an album release work, to make a band work. So I completely get that. But talking about money like that, now originally with Pathways, you guys were with We Are Triumphant.
Right.
And then now doing, everything DIY and independent. Would you shop around now for this next album or next release, however you want to, release everything? Would you shop around for a label to try and help out with that?
Yeah, we shopped with Depth Perception and we had some interest and kind of got into some talks. But really for us, like, we have a very strong idea of what the band is about and the message that we want to portray. And I think for us, I think I speak for everybody, but it's just finding a label that's like a partner, so to speak. I mean, we've built up a lot.
Yeah.
I do a lot myself for the band. So it's kind of, we don't want to get into a situation where we're giving away all the rights to the music that we created and the label isn't doing anything to really help.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think moving forward, we do plan on pitching and seeing what kind of interest we get, but it's just a matter of if it's a good fit and if the timing's right.
Right. Let me ask you, let's go a little bit deeper into Depth Perception, and let's talk about, you had some member changes, as you kind of mentioned before.
Yep.
Going from Pathways to Depth Perception, what did you kind of learn in the process of creating the music? Was there anything you did specifically different on the full length compared to when you were putting together your EP?
Yeah, I think for Depth Perception, we really had this strong ideal for it that we were going to do exactly what we wanted to do at that time, no matter what. It wasn't based off of opinion from an outside perspective. We kind of wanted to give the whole idea of the fact that we took away screaming out of it to kind of be we can write these songs and not rely on uncleans at heavier parts, to kind of change that perception. I mean, the concept of Depth Perception was supposed to kind of be everything that has a strong ideal to it, and even music, it seems to fall on deaf ears a lot. And because everything's oversaturated to some degree, but if we could do an album that maybe not everybody was expecting, it may not be the biggest hit album that anyone's done, or even us. It's not going to be the best work, but it was the best time, and we were very confident in that, and maybe changing the perspective of we all have a voice, we all want to be heard. We shouldn't be afraid of what other people think or how they might judge us for a decision that we've made. But hopefully, we'll gain some longevity from the situation of fans, and people might understand us a little bit more. We were just completely transparent, and I think on Pathways, we really just wanted to write songs that kind of they were still us, but they molded kind of into what was happening at that time. And I think for Depth Perception, it was a little risky because we strayed away from the concept of trying to do what might hit harder, which I think there's elements of Pathways that we might go back to moving on into the next campaign period. But also we want to keep the direction of mindset from Depth Perception and carry it on over to this, right, but with a newfound respect that now that we've been a band for a few years and we've changed things up quite a bit, and we've developed into something different, that we want to keep in mind, like, what do people who have stuck with us from the start want to hear, kind of like we like talked about before, just trying to find a good balance between all of it now.
For sure. So for all of you, and this is a question for everyone, so how do you kind of feel that process out then? Like, how do you know what you want and what other people want? Because that's got to be, I would assume that that's very tough because people can be very fickle. So how do you kind of, set that stuff up for yourselves?
Oh, man.
It's a good question.
They handed the torch to Sam. Yeah, people are fickle, man. It sucks. And I hate being blunt like this, but there's so much garbage. There really is. There's so much garbage out there.
Yeah.
And I get it, because it's like, for some it's convenience. For others, it's like, I just like the beat. For some people, it's like, I like a really good lyrics. Like, I can't, like my parents and grandparents, I can't hear you. Where I want to hear you sing. I want to hear the words you're saying. I was like, you're just old. Right there. Anyway, but yeah, so I mean, to be honest, it's kind of in your face though. Like, I mean, we watch other bands. I mean, and so for me and Billy, we were actually just talking about this before we talked to you. Issues is going to be dropping their new album Friday, and I like that band a lot because they do stuff that's like risky. They've got a strong fan base though. Yes. And they can play around a lot. I get that. But they do, like, test the waters, and they bring out different shit every time. And it's just, like, not like anyone's doing. And they have elements that's just them. And so I get that. And it's maybe not even them. It's other genres that are popping out, too. Like, I mean, the whole pop structure is just, like, killing the game. I mean, pop country, pop rap, pop hip hop. It's like pop is elements in like everything now. And I mean, the Beatles kind of like set that up too. And like, they had guitars and drums and bass and stuff, but they had pop elements. They wrote like hits, So we're like just trying to think about. I'm not trying to say that people are dumber now, but people just filter a lot easier now. So it's not that they're dumb. They just like, they got a filter. And if you're bringing unique and different, and their filter says, nah, I want like heavy, relevant, I don't know, it's just going to get filtered out. You'll never reach them. So I'm just I try to just think of like catchy hooks that I'm hearing from other people and like how they're singing their structures, like their flows, and what I do. And like, I even look at myself, like, who do I sound like? Some people, will come up to me like, you sound like this, or you kind of remind me of this. And like, I take that in. Yeah. I really like take that in and study myself. So try, because I mean, that's important. And then at the end of the day, you do got to be yourself. So I think if we just keep being ourselves, we'll be relevant.
No, for sure. Yeah.
It is, man. That's the hardest question. I hate that you guys just gave me that.
I think just to add my kind of spin on it, which I agree with, and a lot of what Sam said kind of ties on to the idea of depth perception. But like for me, I'm going back to like a memory I had of a show. Like we played a local show, and after the show was over, everybody's packing up, getting ready to leave. Michael Jackson came on, and everybody there, like the hardest of hardcore dudes, were like dancing and singing along. And it's like, that's a damn good song. Like you cannot deny, I think it was Billie Jean. Like you can't deny that that's a good song. It doesn't matter who you are, you hear it, you kind of move to it. And I think for us, it's like keeping what makes us special, like our strengths, the proggy kind of stuff that we do and our version of post-hardcore, but kind of fitting that to what makes a good song, and which is kind of the pop structure. But I think kind of feeling out that side of things while maintaining enough of a identity to kind of cut through the noise.
Exactly.
Right. Well, I'm sorry, does anyone else want to, kind of add on to that before we move on to something that was mentioned before?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure. Sometimes it's tough with 3 people because it's like, am I waiting to hear everyone's opinion, or was their opinion covered by another person? So, all right, just checking. So let me kind of go back to what Sam was talking about for a second there, and I'll put all of you on the spot with this one. So there was a huge debate over Issues and over that song Flexin'.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we were talking about that too, weren't we?
Yep.
Sorry.
I would assume that tons of people in the scene have talked about it, And I just want to know your opinions on, do you always have to have respect for a band that puts out a song? Do you feel that a song can go out that's actually bad? So whether it's your taste or not, do you think a band can put out a song that's just not good whatsoever? Because the question with Flexin was, it was not only was it so incredibly different from what really I would say most people are putting out in the scene right now, but like for instance, I'll be very open. I had a lot of debates with people, on social media on that. I don't like that song whatsoever. And I don't think it's because I mostly lean towards post-hardcore and metalcore and, whatever core you want to throw in there, because I like a lot of pop punk. I like a lot of bands that are very good at putting electronic and pop elements into their core or scene music. So for me, I just think it's a straight up bad song. But it almost seems like you're not allowed to put that opinion out there anymore. Like you have to owe everyone something. That's where I'm getting at. So so I just want to see what your guys' opinion is on that.
I think, I'm going to start off by saying what my perception of why they decided to release that song in the first place is. Anyways, I think that they knew that it would get people talking, and I think it's almost like a publicity stunt.
Yeah.
And sometimes in their case, because they know that they have a big fan base and that they've had a good following for however long, no matter what, there will always be a substantial amount of people that stick by their side. And, it kind of goes with everything in life, like even politics. Like, you may not agree with how this one person is, but at the end of the day, we're all just trying to achieve the same thing as basically like individual zen, or what can we do to make a change to make the world better. And I know that's kind of like maybe a little straying away off topic from like what the song is about, but what I've noticed that Issues has always done with everything that they've ever put out, they've never released their strongest songs beginning. Once they released Headspace, and I listened to all of what they had, every song, in my opinion, was better, stronger, way more thought out than any of the singles that they put out. Sure. But they have these releases to get people talking, and all they want to do, negative or positive or not, which is risky, is to just get people talking about them. Hence, there's going to be twice as many people now that are going who are going to go and check that record out because they're curious to know, is every song like Flexin', or is that just kind of this one-off, like to throw people a wrench? And I can almost guarantee you, I haven't heard, of course, all the album yet, 'cause it doesn't come out till Friday, but I can guarantee you that this album is incredible. I have no doubt in my mind that all that they're doing is just a publicity stunt, and that they know how talented they are. If you have been a fan of the band, we know everyone individually is incredible with how they write their music. All of it's correct musically. They know their stuff. Like music theory, they have it down.
Yeah.
It's all subjective, of course. Opinion's always going to be subjective, but all in all, I think that they did sort of the right thing by doing that. As much as it looks like it's the wrong thing, I guarantee you that these people are going to listen to the record and they're going to be like, okay, like, I don't know why I ever doubted them. It kind of is a thing, like the show doubt. Like, it kind of shows how our society is nowadays. Like, we're so quick to doubt people because of one perspective that maybe we don't agree with, when all in all, like, we're just the same.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good example there to show kind of like how we all are. Maybe we should take a step back and not always prejudge so quick. And if there are any people that are like, oh, well, after hearing that song, like, screw this band, I'm not going to check their record out. Well, kind of good riddance, really.
Right. Well, and just to backtrack a little bit, I wasn't making the assumption that the album would be bad. I know that there were other people that were doing that, but I'm just talking about the song itself.
Yeah. And I kind of agree with you, dude. I don't think it was that good of a song, but after I heard Drink about it and stuff, I was like pretty confident, like kind of what Billy says, because Billy's brought this up before, like specifically with that band, that like they do this kind of shit. So like I heard Drink about it in that video, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so good. It's like funky, hardcore, funky post-hardcore. I'm interested. I mean, but like I agree with what you said. Like I think people can dump garbage music out there just because they can. Like I don't think a band in our for where we're at, I think that's not like, I think every song has to be like good for us. I mean, we just don't have the luxury of a fan base to play around like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Cause I don't know, but we don't know either. Maybe they just released it and they thought people were gonna dig it. Who knows?
Yeah, I will say I did see. I think it might have been Tyler who commented after, and who knows? This could have been once again another publicity kind of stunt. It could have been trying to get ahead of everything. But as soon as they started seeing all the negative comments come in, Tyler came on social media and said something like, "Look, we know what we were doing. We were playing around with that song." I even think he might have said he didn't think it was very good, like the song itself, but they knew like 50% of the people would like it and 50% of the people would hate it, but they just wanted to put it out there. So yeah, they're very good at marketing for sure. And that's just why I wanted to gauge your guys' opinion on it, because it is such a polarizing song, and it is strange the reaction, at least for me. The way that I thought about it was I thought the reaction was strange from a lot of bands who were basically saying, you're not allowed to judge a song, or you're not allowed to judge the art of a band that puts anything out, because they can do, not only can they do whatever they want, which I think everyone knows, but that you as a person don't have the right to critique. And I thought that was strange.
That's definitely not fair at all, and that gives us limitations as human beings to, to feel like we have a voice. And I think that's like we can all speak for each other when we say that that's kind of like what the band like stands for in itself, is that like,
right.
Like there's a lot of people that are too scared to have a voice, because if they do, like decide that they want to like critique, they shouldn't feel like that they can't. Like everybody has a right to their own opinion, to what everything sounds like, because it is all subjective to sound. Like you may like hip hop a little bit more than another genre, so you can't really say, oh, like this rock band is bad just because you like one specific genre more than the other. It is all kind of subjective, but you have a right to do so in saying that you're not pleased by certain sounds. Like,
yeah. No, I totally get it. All right. Does anyone else? I'm sorry for taking us off track on that.
No, that's good.
No, that's okay.
That's good. That's definitely really in a hole. That's all the stuff we were battling with, like trying to write that record.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. So then now with your writing process, as you mentioned before, you're kind of still, you're putting your heads together to write. You're trying to save up money so that you can afford to do what you guys need to do with everything. What's the writing process like now for you guys? Like, have you started lyrics? Have you started instrumentation? Do you know what direction you're going in?
I think we have a general idea. What we have right now is definitely different, kind of. It's still soft-spoken, but it's an evolution, just the same way Depth Perception was. But
sure.
Kind of how we do things now, and it's kind of how we've done it, is like Billy and I will write. A lot of times we kind of write on our own. Whenever we have time, he'll riff an idea out and like pre-pro it. I'll do the same. And then Sam, will meet up with one of us and kind of give us direction. And I'm sure he's got lyrical and melody ideas too. And we'll kind of, once we get closer to like recording, we'll kind of be like, all right, these are the two we want to focus on. And we'll kind of come together and like, maybe a lot of times when I'm writing, I just try to finish a song idea, like regardless of if half of it's copy paste or whatever. Like I just try to get the song done.
Yeah.
And then, like I know Billy can think in a different way than I do when it comes to writing and structure. So I'll be like, dude, like do something here, like change this, and that's like, especially Pathways, a lot of the songs, like we would have an idea and Billy would come in and have like a whole different part. So we kind of like, I feel like we kind of start off separately to kind of get a bearing for where each of us is individually in our creative process. And then we kind of hone in, share those ideas, and then come together. It's kind of how we work.
A lot of Depth Perception stuff, I know a couple of those songs, a lot of them was like organically just playing, jamming, like all together with drums and just like kind of like making noise. All right, let's jam something out. A real old school style. I loved it. It was cool.
So then when you guys are doing that, for anyone that didn't know, I think we might have mentioned it earlier, but Billy and Chris, you guys are, you're guitarists, you're original members. Sam, you're doing the vocals. I know we hit on that. So when you guys are writing songs, is it split up where, you know, you guys are doing guitar and you're not worried about lyrics, and Sam, that's like your job is to make sure lyrics are there, or are you guys always constantly kind of working together?
No, it's kind of individualized in that sense. Like, yeah, like I'm definitely like focusing on lyrics and stuff. Like when we were writing Depth Perception, I had a book with me all the time. I was like writing stuff at work or what have you. Because for me, like I could write, like, give me a guitar and I'll write a song and then have Billy and Chris get on it with me. And like we've yet to actually go that route. And I think it's because like I just feel like I have this like desire to just like throw out melodies, and I feel like I hate tooting my own horn. But I never do, because I like to be humble. But I do, like, put me in a booth and like I will spit melodies at you left and right. And I think my brain just moves so fast like that I prefer just having like what these guys do, and then like I just come in later and change things up or whatever. But there were definitely times where Chris, like him and I at the studio, like we went out to his car and he just sat in there with me and like helped me with some words. Because I mean, I do have a pretty deep mind, and I feel like me and Billy get real deep. And Billy's given me a lot of like the song Dissolve. Like Billy gave me inspiration for that. That song is kind of like about him in a way. But yeah, and Chris will come in with the educated, proper grammar way to like style things and structure things, and he's very witty too with his thoughts and words as well.
Yeah.
So like they will all help. I am a sponge, man. I'll take anything from anyone. I really am. But I do love actually we worked with Matt Goldman, and he actually did say like, you know, you guys should like maybe try to like, you know, Sam, like why don't you try to write some songs and have them jump on it and stuff. I remember him saying that to me. He's like, you know, that couldn't hurt either, and
yeah.
may not hurt to try that route, but something about like these guys really, like Chris has a way, Billy has a way of doing things, and together you hear soft spoken elements in each of them, and it's really cool. And I can't take that away from them. I can spit melodies up and right. So
yeah.
give me what you got, and I do that. But yeah, for the most part, I feel like right now we've definitely kind of been exploring our own thing and then bringing that to the table. And like these songs a couple of songs that they've worked on, it's not even like Depth Perception in a way. But once I hop on it, it's going to feel like soft spoken for sure. Like that's one thing I loved about that record. We may have did something totally unique and different, but it was a way for us to like bond in a way.
Sure. Or
just kind of like, you know, a sports team doesn't get, you know, a champion team doesn't like, you know, they don't develop right away. But I mean, I guess that happens sometimes, but
rarely
you build around players and stuff. That's what we're doing. So it's definitely coming along. And I think that's what's happening right now. Like Chris will write something. He'll totally fully write something, drums and all. Billy totally will write something, drums and all. And then like, I'm just like, I'll take it in my car when I get off work and just sing.
Yeah.
I love that process right now.
Yeah.
And if the time's right and something hits me, a good song hits me, and they like, you know, that we'll do it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, you know, like our band, and to take Sam's words, not to toot our horns, but I think we're all very capable writers. We're very good at our instruments, but just in music in general, like I feel like when we write, we definitely kind of write separately starting out, but when we're in the studio, like Sam said, I'll give lyric ideas, or Billy will have like a whole section where he's like, hey, let me do vocals here or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like we've actually never really written with Austin, our drummer, yet, just jamming, but he didn't do drums on Depth Perception.
Right.
So that's a process that I'm looking forward to. You know, like when we pre-pro right now, I just kind of program really bad drums.
They're not that bad.
And I look forward to Austin like doing something that's way better than what I can write in a computer.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I think we all know our strengths, but at the same time we know each other's strengths, so we know when to rely on each other and when to step back from ideas that we like and that kind of thing.
Well, how long did it take you guys to kind of form that level of trust with each other?
You know, it's kind of weird actually. From the very start of the band, when it was just me and Chris, like developing like what Soft Spoken like was going to be, you know, he reached out to me and said, you know, I'm going to start this project. It's this and that. Do you want to get involved? Like that was the shell of the whole entire thing. And it was this really strange intuition that I've never felt before from anything, because I've been in like 5 bands before this that have all failed for certain reasons of kind of like hitting a wall.
Sure.
Whether the band didn't want to tour, they didn't want to they were out of ideas or something. It just didn't prosper. And whenever he had explained to me like what he was chasing after, I initially had faith right then and there. I swear to you, I've never felt that way before about anything.
Yeah.
And still to this day, I feel the same faith that I did from pretty much day one.
Nice.
At least like with me and Chris, and also when we got Sam, it was that same feeling whenever he came in and did his tryout after Logan's departure, the one who's on Pathways.
Yeah.
And it was kind of that whole initial thing. Like you get a vibe sometimes from somebody that they have the ethic and they have the potential and the capability. And it's just kind of like your first impression of somebody. In the first 10 minutes, you kind of get a feel of how this person is, like energy wise. And like, I know that like, you know, we felt that same connection there. And, you know, it's not like the other members of the band like didn't have that to some degree, but I guess like long term, no matter what's happened, no matter what changes we've gone through, I've always had faith. So I kind of I just know in my heart, like this is something, it's truly something. And I think we've all relied on, you know, that said faith to get us through to the next point and to continue with no matter what hardships come our way.
Yeah. Well, that's very well said. So Sam, for you coming into this being, you know, the quote unquote new guy and having so much responsibility put on you, how was that like for you?
Ooh, it's tough.
Yeah.
It is tough sometimes. Yeah, because I don't know, like, and this isn't a knock on my band at all, and they've heard me express this, but it's like sometimes, like, it gets pretty heavy to the point where, like, maybe it feels like we're in a dry sprout season right now. Like, I don't know, where things kind of feel stagnant, and you go through those like ups and downs as a band. It's like your numbers start dropping, blah blah blah. I don't know, or songs aren't hitting the way you thought they were. We definitely went through some of those with some releases, and you know, just with the video with Eclipse and Google, and we're like, man, why is no one like this animation video? This is so awesome. Like, no one's doing anything like this. It's so different. But when that gets down, sometimes I feel pressure that, like, I haven't really established myself as a vocalist. I was into music. I had like a high school band, and then I went to college, and it wasn't until maybe I was 28 that I like kind of reconnected with Chris. I knew who he was through the scene just from my old bands. We played shows together. Yeah. And, you know, so I've come into the game again, and I'm 30. I don't feel old at all. I definitely feel like I can, you know, kick some butts for a long time. So you know, I'm on this path with these guys, like Billy said. But I definitely feel like, man, maybe like at those kind of times, like I feel like their singer kind of maybe they feel like, oh gosh, like, well, if our singer had more likes on Insta, or if he was like popular and, you know, doing all this stuff, and like, you know, I feel pressure almost to, like, I need to build my own brand separately from the band just to help us all out as a whole. And that's just been kind of hard. So, I mean, I don't have like a lot of like equipment, you know, like to like make some stuff, you know, but I've been kind of diving into that. I just did a cover song and filmed some of it in studio. Nice. So I'm trying to like be that guy, that front man. And you come see a live show, and I'm definitely that guy. Like, you know, I just haven't been in the game for a while. So I'm definitely a rookie. I'm like an undrafted old guy who, like, I don't know.
We like NBA a lot. So there's a lot of reference.
Yeah, there's a lot. So, but yeah, I feel that pressure. Kind of. I don't know. We went on the road with like Makari and Andy. He's an awesome dude. I love that guy, man. I envied him. I was like, at times I was like, man, I was a little jealous. Man, everyone loves Andy, dude. Even I love Andy. Like, how do I don't know. I just gotta keep being humble, being myself, and, you know, at the end of the day, I always said this to Chris and Billy too. I never wanted to be better than them or bigger than them. I never wanted to shine more than them. Depth Perception, I wanted them to do things that made them shine. I really don't want I want to be the frontman that I need to make this band go where it can go. For sure. But hey, I'm a team player at the same time. Same damn time. So yeah, I'll be Tyler Carter if I need to be, or I'll be freaking Dave Matthews and whatever.
Well, please no. Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I definitely want to make sure that you guys know this, and I'm sure you probably do, but for sure in Depth Perception, I think each of you shines really, really well.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
I think you guys complement each other very well. And I think that's something that people will look forward to in, future singles, however else you guys plan on doing the releases for sure. So I guess that confidence will come in time, or, you'll work out however that you think it'll work out best for you guys. So I know you do have, we're kind of coming to the end here, but I know you have some dates at the end of October, and we kind of touched on it a little bit, kind of briefly, but what is your plan going into next year?
The dates in October, we got a show with our friends, a band called Danger of Falling in West Virginia. Then we're on tour on the Hudson's, like a big Halloween kind of festival.
Nice. Playing
with our friends in Picturesque, Macari.
Yeah. Yep.
Oceana's playing.
Very nice.
And then the next day we have another show with Oceana and Outline Colors. So that'll be a fun little weekend run.
Sure.
And then moving forward, we've got, we're going to be doing some kind of acoustic renditions of some of the Depth Perception stuff.
Ah, okay.
Coming up here pretty soon. And then we have, obviously, the rest of Depth Perception still coming.
Yep.
For the rest of this year. We've got some Christmas stuff kind of on the way. And then we're going to be tracking some new singles in December.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay.
No real timeline on the new, like totally new stuff yet.
Yeah.
But we're at least going to be tracking at the end of this year.
Very cool.
And then outside of like releases, we just plan on touring as much as possible next year.
Awesome. No, that's great. All right, guys. So I think that is a perfect place to end tonight. I have a feeling I'm going to have you guys back on the show when you have your new material out. We'll go, way in depth and go through everything for sure. I did want to mention there's something that I didn't, talk about earlier when you're talking about kind of seeing what your fans enjoy about Depth Perception and, upcoming music and style and everything. For me, my favorite track on the album is Soundship for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Man, that's awesome. That's our most energetic one, man. We go nuts when that song kicks in.
I'd imagine so. Yeah, and I hope that at some point you guys, I know tours are crazy, and I'm never one of those people to be like, oh man, I can't believe you never come up here. Anytime that you guys do get up to the East Coast, I hope that you can make it to the Boston area, because I will definitely come see you guys live for sure. So, yeah, man, absolutely. So I wanted just to make sure, once again, you guys have been great. I've really enjoyed this. I've wanted to do this for a while. Everyone should go out and check out Depth Perception. Do you guys ever think that it sounds like twister. Yeah, it sounds like Depth Perception sometimes. Yeah.
And that was the whole point. It was like a play on words, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I really enjoy that. So just in case people have not understood as we've been talking, it's DEAF Perception. Yep. So make sure you check that out for sure. As the guy said, there are going to be more singles, being released as time goes on. Make sure to support them for sure. And what I want to make sure is, until that time though, guys, what is really the best way to support you guys?
To follow us on Spotify and to stream us through there. I feel like that's really kind of where the industry is starting to shift.
Make a comment or two or something. Give us some brutal honesty. Like, talk about us, or like, yeah, your hair, like, or I don't know. Or you guys look great. Compliments, or who knows?
Yeah.
I would love the feedback that you told me you like Soundship. So, like, if people will help us out supporting, like, just give us feedback. Like, tell us what you like, what you don't. I don't know if that helps too. So, yeah.
More business side, go to our website and buy some merch. That helps too.
Yes.
StaySoftSpoken.com.
There you go. Yeah, for sure. I will have links in the description of the episode that has the website, has your social medias on it as well. So that way we'll try and make it ridiculously easy for people to, get in touch with you, to hear your music as well if for some reason they haven't, and just to support you guys in general. So once again, guys, I was very happy to do this. I know it's been a while. Make sure you check your spam folders. I'm going to say that to everyone once again. But guys, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
You've been listening to Scene Daddy Interviews.
Thank you all for listening to Scene Daddy Interviews. Make sure you support the artists we featured by checking out the summary of the episode. Also, for all your scene news, reviews, and memes, make sure to follow Scene Daddy and Ian Hates on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe and rate Scene Daddy Interviews on your favorite podcast listening app for more great artist interviews in the future. stay seen.